recent report in the Seattle Times lays out the results of defunding the police, calling it a botched experiment that made things go so much worse. Jason Rantz, radio host from Seattle, with me now. Jason, nice to see you. Good morning to you. I know Seattle's a mess, and you're here constantly to tell us why. You know, these results in California down the coast, just watch and gauge how they filter up through Oregon into your state. I did not realize that the city of Seattle moved those who are responsible for parking enforcement away from the police department. I did not realize the city of Seattle moved the 911 call center away from the police department and towards civilians. Why would they do that?
Yeah, that was part of the defunding movement, which was to take away the budget from the SPD. And part of that is to create these civilian-controlled centers, not just for parking enforcement, but also for the 911 call center. Now, ultimately, the reason why they want to do this is they want to use those folks to be able to implement council policy that is not necessarily in line with policing. So, for example, when you call 911, you end up getting a social worker who shows up. Now, on the parking enforcement side, oops, they rushed this so quickly, they forgot to actually reauthorize these civilian employees to go ahead and give tickets. So all of the tickets that have been given out up until they caught this error have to be refunded.
Wow. Okay, so let me come back to that. Columnist in the Seattle Times writing, whether you think defund the police has some merit to it or not, it's becoming clear that no entity in the country has bungled the idea more than the city of Seattle. I mention that because the city council, they wanted to cut the police department by 50%. They never got there. Yeah. They're down about 17%. How's that working out?
Yeah, well, let's tell you how it's working out. 17%, and now we're down since 2020. We're coming up on 450 to 500 cops who have already left the department. By the end of this year, we are on tap to lose 200 officers, 75 so far this year. And when we go into June and July, those are the months, due to some of the back-end stuff with payouts, that number explodes. At the same time, we've seen a huge surge in crime. We're talking about violent crime and nonviolent crime. And of course, pretty much every day goes by, you'll end up getting some notice from the SPD that there was a stabbing, that there was a shooting. It's getting really, really bad. We had someone who just broke onto a elementary school campus. The police couldn't get there for some 30 minutes. Now, there's some back-end stuff behind that. The 911 call wasn't as clear as it should have been. But in a world in which your departments are adequately staffed, someone gets onto a school campus with children, particularly after Uvalde, you're going to have cops there immediately. And they couldn't get that done.
Wow. So you mentioned the crime. Here it is. Total violent crimes are up 23%. By the way, none of these numbers are good for you, Jason. Homicide, 54.5. Robbery, 22. Aggravated assault, 26. Citywide shootings and shots fired, up 82%. You know what this is? It's like quality of life issues, right? It's like San Francisco. It's the reason why people in L.A., like Rick Caruso, break through and post what he did last night in Los Angeles. Who is giving voice to these issues in Seattle?
Well, the good news is we now have a Seattle city attorney, the first time a Republican has taken that position in something like 30 years. She's actually doing her job. The problem is, unless you truly have a fully funded and staffed police department, even if you have someone who's starting to talk about the crime surge, and the mayor is doing a little bit more than our last, you can only do so much if no one can respond to the 911 calls, or if you can't get those calls picked up to begin with. So we are clearly trending in the right direction as far as the public getting upset, similar as what happened in San Francisco and LA, but we're not yet seeing the big results on the crime side. We've seen a lot of the results on the homelessness crisis. The council is still trying to push back in ways that undermine everything that's going on. But still, at the end of the day, we're tiptoeing in the right direction. But at any given moment, if we have a surge of violence from just bad guys who want to commit criminal acts, we end up pushing ourselves back, unfortunately.
Well, good luck. Jason, thank you for your time today. Jason Rantz, running